Today, I want to discuss something that is very relevant to where we are currently at in the crypto market, and that is what to do when the market turns bearish. So let's take a look at Bitcoin over the past couple years, and you'll see that we've seen nearly a 50% decline from our all-time high at around $125,000 in October. I mean, looking at the past 3 months, this chart does not look pretty. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. Now, some of you may have panic sold and got out of these markets. Others are probably still holding like myself. And I want to show you what I am doing right now to position myself for the future prices that Bitcoin will see. Now, the first thing that you need to understand with this first strategy that I'm going to be showing you is you have to actually believe in the assets. And frankly, you should not be investing into anything that you don't believe in the first place. If you did, that's a problem with your due diligence and you need to change something in your actual process. But looking further, what I'd like to do is analyze the assets that I'm holding, analyze the assets that I want to consider holding, and determine if they operate like a business that shares value with shareholders. So I'll usually ask Claude or any other chat LLM basically and say, compare the utility / reason to hold between Hype and Sol, right? These are two assets that I'll maybe evaluate in my portfolio. Analyze the business behind the token. Does it make money? How do they bring that money back to token holders as value? Because there's a huge disconnect in this space. There's a lot of tokens that you will find that maybe have a business, generate profits from that business, but those profits never actually hit the token holders. There's others that just have a token and they don't have a business. And then there's some, to be frank, where the token is the business, and that means that you are the product and you're the one that gives them money basically. But let's briefly look at what Claude says over here. It just says Hyperliquid is a perps DEX running on its own L1, generates revenue from trade fees, roughly 700 million last year. And looking at how the value of that 700 million actually flows to holders, it has the assistance fund, which uses over 99% of collected fees to buy back Hype from the open market, which creates consistent buy pressure for the token. And then from there, they burn a lot of that Hype that they bought back. In other words, just taking it out of circulation. So the value accrual right here is very clean and direct. It's very easy to see how Hype would benefit from this long term. And then you also have Sol, which is a platform play, and they have an indirect value capture. They don't really make money in the same direct sense, but rather there's a burning mechanism that burns 50% of each transaction fee. The remaining fee is retained by the validator processing the transaction. Now, you can stake your SOL, accrue rewards, and of course, the current inflation rate is about 4% annually, decreasing by about 15% per year. So if I had to choose between two of these, I'm choosing Hype. It has a better value. It has a better value accrual for holders compared to Solana. But both of these are solid tokens, in my opinion. I'm just more of a Hype guy myself. But now that we've kind of conducted analysis, if you do still believe in the tokens that you hold in your wallet, the altcoins that maybe are down 60-80%, and you do think they can go to higher prices in the future, it's fine to continue to hold them. Now, the next thing that we focus on after we determine that we actually want to hold these tokens is how can we get more of them? Not necessarily by buying, but by using instruments within the crypto space, specifically within a subsector of crypto called DeFi. Now, crypto currently has a market cap of $2.4 trillion. That's the value in crypto right now. This DeFi industry, it's a small sector of crypto, has value of $172 billion. And it's actually where crypto gets listed before it hits the big exchanges and stuff through something called the primary markets. You see, you have these things called decentralized exchanges, stuff like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, maybe you've heard of Orca, Aerodrome, Radium, these type of platforms where you can head over to them and you can buy a token, you can sell a token, right? You're essentially swapping. You're saying, hey, I want to give you ETH and you give me Arrow. Or hey, I want to give you USDC and you give me, let's just say CBBTC essentially. And the transaction happens in real time. It's lower fees than centralized exchanges. And ultimately, you are not trading with the platform. You're trading with a bunch of people that are providing this capital on the platform. But my point is, you can be on the other end of providing on these platforms through something known as liquidity pools. And when you mix liquidity pools with some staking yields, with some lending, where you lend out your assets and other people borrow them, you can realistically do about 15% per year on your portfolio sustainably during a bear market. So let's say you have $100,000 right now in your portfolio, And we assume that crypto appreciates by 15% per year over the next 5 years. The reason why I choose 15% is because there's going to be some years where we blow it out the park and we do 80%, 100%, maybe more in appreciation. Other years where we see a bear market, we go down 20, 30, 40%, right? So we have to account for both and we have to be conservative. And I also want to preface this with, don't get your hopes up. This is a calculator at the end of the day, and this is fictitious, and this doesn't even relate to the crypto market. This just simply shows you compound interest. So assuming you start with $100,000, after 5 years of growth, you would have $100,000 of price appreciation as well. But what if in the meantime, during that 5 years, we are generating 15% per year on our assets and not taking any of that out, but rather compounding all of it? When we add that in, we are now going from $100,000 to $423,000, or in other words, $323,000 of appreciation as well as interest earned, basically, that has been compounded into our portfolio. That right there is the effect of compound interest. But the problem is most people in a bull market will think, oh, things are going great. I'm going to pull capital out of my portfolio. I'm going to take out this yield as profit, as cash flow, go and fund my lifestyle with it. And then next thing you know, the market's going down and they still are positioned for a bull market while they're in a bear market. And now they don't have all of those earnings retained to actually reinvest back into the positions when their positions need it the most. Now, if you guys would like me to make a dedicated video on kind of these yield products where you can stake your assets, lend your assets, provide liquidity, and generate like 15, 20, sometimes even more percentages per year off of your assets, let me know. I'll make a full dedicated video on it. I also have a couple on my channel right now. But the next strategy is going to be slightly different. It's going to be shifting out of, I want to acquire more assets and I want to build something called a flywheel in my portfolio, right? To more of, I have cash. I want to preserve that cash. I want to earn more than what I'd earn in banks, but I also want to make sure that I'm protected and I don't have any downside. Now, realistically, you can create a mix of both, but within the crypto space, you have stuff like USDT, USDC, USDS, and all these other stable coins that are fully collateralized by actual US dollars in the banking system and also pegged to the US dollar. So $1 over here, $1 over here, 0.9996 right over here, right? The effect is obviously that you invest into these and they hold their value. Well, the thing is, using these things, which are called stablecoins, you can take those and park them into lending strategies, and you can earn 5 to 10% on those. You can also go and park them into liquidity pools where maybe you can earn 10 to 15% on those. And all in all, when you create an entire portfolio of stablecoins, you can realistically do about 10 to 12% per year off of those stablecoins. However, you can take it a step further and you can allocate to some of the higher risk assets in the market, stuff like XRP, stuff like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Sol, right? And that would give you market exposure, yes, but you can balance out your market exposure with the inverse market exposure, which is shorting. Because when you take on exposure to XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, stuff like that, you have long exposure. And if you bring in a short position, you can have short exposure as well, which balances out the market. Now, you can't do this perfectly, unfortunately, especially in something like liquidity pools, because the amount of assets that you have in a liquidity pool does constantly fluctuate, making it very, very hard to consistently balance out your exposure. But this is just another strategy that you can actually run while the market is completely tanking. So let me tell you what I'm doing right now. Well, in the market right now, all of my capital, or not all of it, but most of my capital is allocated to positions that I actually believe in. Stuff like Hype, stuff like Ethereum, and other assets, and actually acquiring more of those assets over time. That way, instead of having one of those assets after a year and still having one the next year, I have one, and then I have 1.2, 1.44, so on and so forth if I'm generating 20% per year. So when those assets do go up in value, I have greater profits than the average person that's just holding those assets in their wallet. But right now, new buys are going directly into those stable strategies, going into those basically cash strategies that generate about 12% per year. Unless there's a very nice dip in the market. I'm talking periods where we see a huge dip like this. Those are periods where I'm injecting a lot of capital. I'm injecting it directly into crypto and I'm buying the dip. And I know it'll probably dip a little bit more, but by locking in multiple of these huge dips, I'm able to lower my cost basis over time. But if I was just constantly dollar cost averaging, it wouldn't really make sense because I can buy better dips right over here. And we are going to see more of those in this market, in my opinion. So that's what I'm currently doing in these markets. I'll show you guys my portfolio if you'd like to see it. Just let me know in the comments section. And if you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe, my notifications turned on, and I also have a free community right below this video. See you guys later. Peace.